Hi everyone, welcome to this tutorial. In this tutorial, I'll be talking about HTML containers. But before I move on, I would like you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our videos, share to friends and family, and also follow us on our social media platforms like Facebook, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, by liking our Facebook page, joining our Facebook group, and also following us on Instagram, on VSKIT, on LinkedIn, and also join our Telegram channel. So before we move on, I also want you to know that this HTML containers is a very interesting topic and you're gonna like it. So let's go there. Moving on to this HTML containers. So first thing to know is that HTML containers are used to group a lot of HTML elements together. HTML containers are used to group a lot of HTML elements together, and we need these containers because we want to style and do some specific, we want to add some specific features to those elements. So we need to group them together, and we use the containers element to group them together. There are a lot of elements that are used for grouping. We have the div, the section, the span, header, footer, aside, and article. But one thing to know is that some are semantic in nature, as the HTML semantic, and why some are just like the real containers. So when we talk about the real container, we're talking about the span and the div. The div element, that's the division. So when we talk about this HTML semantic elements, they are used for division, just like I've said earlier. But why they are called semantic is because when you see them, the element meaning can be understood by the coder and the web browser. Meaning the name of that element, just the element name alone, can make you understand that yes, this is the work it performs as a coder, and can also make the web browser understand that this is the work it performs, and that's why they are called semantic. So examples of this semantic HTML element are like the header element, footer element, section, navigation. Through the name, you can know the roles they perform or the roles they play in an HTML document. So back to the HTML containers. So when we talk about these HTML containers, we need the HTML semantic at some point, and also we need the div and the span elements. So as we move on, I hope you will understand more and better about these HTML containers. But I've told you that I used to group a lot of HTML elements together. So let's move on. First of all, talk about the header element. The header element is used to define header for a HTML document. It contains the title, author, name, date created. You can use the headings element inside, like the H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. It can also contain logo and icons. So guys, let's do that quick. First of all, to know that the header contains both the opening and the closing tag, and is used to like give to define a header for HTML documents. So guys, I'm just gonna clear up this SVG stuff of a thing, and I'm gonna put in my opening and the closing header tag. And for those of you that it might look a little bit confused to you, one thing to know that there's difference between the headings elements and the head element and the header. When we talk about the head element, it's part of the HTML document body. When we talk about the headings, we talk about the H1, H2 to 6, in which you can use to write headings. And when we talk about the header, is a container that can be used to store other elements. But the container should be used appropriately. And how can it be used appropriately? By storing informations like title, author, date created, logos and icon. That's how the header element should be used, meaning it can be used for other things, but as a result of SEO and the web browser to understand that this is what it should display, you need to put in the appropriate information. And the appropriate information it takes like title, author's name, date created, logos and icons. So first of all, I'm gonna put in my opening and closing tag elements, opening and closing tag header into the body elements. So this is the header. So remember that it is a container that can be used to group all other elements, meaning it can contain other tags like ph, headings tags, the paragraph tags, and other more. So guys, I'm going to make use of the headings tag. I'm going to make use of the h1 and h3 right now, so as to create a title for this particular content we're writing on. Let's say for instance we're writing on a particular content. We want to write about, okay, let's just guess a name, maybe Apple. So our header will contain the title Apple, written by Vicsad Academy, so the date created, and many more of that. So let's do that. So Control V, and then I'm gonna come here and write Apple. Let's give it something like hypertext. So I'm just gonna come back here, give this h3. So I'm just gonna give this created by so this should be our date. I'm just gonna give this date. So let's give it 12 forward slash 03 forward slash 2022. Yeah, so Control S, and I'm just gonna come back and refresh the page. The truth is that nothing is gonna change. It's just gonna display normal as the heading, but what I'm just trying to point out is that you have to make use of the HTML semantic, because for instance now, if anyone is looking for hypertext markup language, the web browser can be easy to bring out your website. The search engine will be able to bring out your website quick as a result of you having an header, and it's search that wow, your header is hypertext markup language created by and then it brings out hypertext markup language for anybody that searched for that, because it recognized the header element. So we're gonna refresh the page right now, and you're gonna see that anything is not changed here. It's just the same way it's gonna display. But right now we created an header element, and then we've said earlier that the header element is a container, so it contains our header element contains the h1, h3, and the h4. So moving on to the next one, talk about the main element. I hope you understand about this header element. If you don't, leave it in the comment section below, any question you have. Moving on to the main element. This main element is also a container, but it is a very unique container. So when we talk about the unique container, we'll talk about the main element. So the main element has an opening and a closing tag, important to know, and just as the name goes, main, this means that it is the main or the dominant content of the web page. The main element represents the main content of the particular web page. It does not contain sidebars, navigation links, copyright information, site logos. It is unique, so the content inside must not be found in another HTML document or web page. So for instance, the main element is unique. Number one, the content inside, meaning the content inside is not supposed to be depicted in any part of the web page or maybe in another web page of the website. The content inside is like the main content that the web page is. That's the reason why the web page was created. That's where the main content is. It does not contain sidebars, link, or some other stuffs like that. So I'm just gonna put in my main element. Remember, it's just a container, but the container is sensitive, meaning it allows web browser to to know that yes, this is the main content of the web page. So yeah, everything gonna be coding. Maybe every text you want to write about the hypertext markup language is gonna be inside the main right here, because that is the main content they need to understand. So if for instance the header is about markup language of the thing, but you are not really talking about markup language, you just want to talk about this particular aspect of markup language that people don't understand, then you can give it another heading here. So maybe why many people don't use the hypertext markup language. That's the main content of the web page, but you just want them to know that it's still under here. But you can leave it this way and then start your main content here by you writing your p tags, headings and everything in which you want to write. But make sure you make use of the main for every what can I say, for every page, for every content you want to write as a developer. Or to make this thing easier, if you might look a little bit confused, immediately after your body element, you can just then copy this, Ctrl X, and then come back here, Ctrl V. So this is to make people, your web browser, to understand that I want to start my content right now. That's the meaning of the unique and the main element, and my content is unique, and that's why I'm using the main element. So the header of my content means the information people need to know about my content is that the title is hypertext markup language, is created by Vicsad, and the date, and then you move on to the other semantics HTML. So other semantic HTML can also slip inside the main element, which also is semantic HTML. So guys, this is the main element. It is very useful, especially people that make use of HTML5. So I hope you understand. Let's move on to the next one. So guys, the next one is the division element. But before I move on to the division element, let me tell you something more about this main element. The main element is only to appear once in a document because it is very unique and it is main content of the page. So there's no need for you having more than one HTML HTML main element. So this should be the only one you have, the opening and the closing. But inside you can have a lot of some other containers, a lot of other elements in it. So the next one we'll talk about is the division element. The division element, just as the name division, is just to divide your web page, your HTML code into groups, and then those groups are being able to be styled or to do some scripting on through the use of the ID or the classes. So what do I mean by this? The HTML division element is used to divide HTML elements into different sections and used as a container for those sections. Meaning the HTML element is a container. You can put all other elements inside so as to divide those other elements into sections, and then those sections you can through the division elements you'll be able to style all other elements that inside that container or that under that particular section. With the division element, it will be easy to assign a particular class or ID to many elements. So guys, I'm just going to do that right now, and I'm going to shed more light on this division element. So guys, I'm just going to create my division element. So here we can put a lot of things inside that is very important, things like so I'm gonna clear this. Okay, let's just write a random text inside. Sorry about that. So let's just leave that random text, and then let's just copy. Let me stop pause the video right now. So guys, I just paused the video and then did a lot of things right now, like creating a paragraph element, pre-formatted the element, the heading 5 element, and then the paragraph element to make my container known as division element, which is also a division container to carry a lot of content. So right now, create a division element, and then with this it is easy for us to style it by just giving it a class, and then we go and call our class in CSS. So we won't do that today. Maybe in our next tutorial we're gonna do that, because that tutorial is gonna be a little bit long. So I just want you people to know that there are some other stuff to know about this elements of a thing. So guys, about the class, then you give it a particular class, and then you go and start it in CSS. If you don't know about the HTML CSS, I'm just gonna leave the link in the comment section below. Make sure you watch the video, and if you don't know about the HTML classes and ID, and then I'll also leave the link in the description section below. Also make sure you watch it. So back to this, like this, I've grouped this into a particular container, and my container name is division element, but does not have a class, so we can specify a class to it, and let's just give it like body. So meaning this is the body division aspect, is a particular section. So when I style the class body, everybody gets affected by it. So that's the work of the division. But nowadays the division is not being used like before, as a result of the HTML semantics that has come outside, like the main element, header element, footer element, section element, article element, aside element, and we're going to be talking about them also in this tutorial. So you see that they've replaced the work of the div. For instance, right now, back in those days when there is no header element, what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna clear this off. Yeah, so then I'm just gonna copy this, then Ctrl V. Yeah, so I'm just gonna give it header, and then I'm gonna close my tag. So like that, I created an header container. So nowadays it is not advisable for you to use that as a result of SEO, because in SEO, when it's not busy for your search engine to quickly know that yes, this is the header of the web page. But using the header element, the search engine will quickly know. So this is how it's been done in those days. When you don't have the footer element, then they create the div and they give it a class or ID of footer. When you don't have the body, the article, then they give it a class or ID of article. So guys, right now I'm just gonna do Ctrl Z, and I'm gonna move on to the next one. So I'm gonna pause the video and do everything back to the normal way. So guys, everything is being done back to the normal way, and this is how it's meant to be. You're gonna use the header instead of using the div and giving it a class attributes and adding the value of header to it. So the next one we'll talk about is the span element. So what's the difference between the span and the division element? Because both of them perform the same function. They are containers that will allow you to be able to style your element or element in that particular section. So now the difference between the division element and the span element is that the div element, known as the division element, is a block level element in which can contain a lot of tags together, and it is that of the span element is an inline level element, meaning it can only works on an inline tags like the paragraph tags, tags like the heading tags, those heading tags. But that of the division not only works with that of the paragraph, also works with that of the image, list, and many other tags that are both inline and block level. So back to this span of a thing. The span is a container. It is just that it is an inline level element container, which makes the div a little bit more better than that of the span element, but both performs different function. That performs at the block level, this performs at the inline level. So let's just do a very simple example of that of the span element. So coming here, just gonna write maybe span, and then here I'm just gonna write span. So that's the work of the span. With that way, I'll be able to style academy is a happy startup. I'll be able to style this text alone, because I'm going to give it a class of and then I can give it like class of span 01. So I'll take it to CSS and I'll be able to style it. So I've said I'm not going to be doing stuff like that in this tutorial, maybe in our next tutorial. And if you don't know about the ID and classes, I'm going to leave it in the description section below, the ID and classes tutorial video. So that is how the span works. It is an inline level element, so I can just copy it and then come back to this place and also put it that way. So when I style this span 01, it's going to affect everyone having that, every span element carrying that attribute and value. So that's the work of the span. Is an inline level element which is used for styling inline elements. So because the paragraph, the pre and those ones are inline, it is used to style them, and it is used for a container for them. It can be used as a container for them. So moving to the next one, which is the aside element. So when we talk about the aside element, the element is also a semantic element, meaning both the developer and the web browser knows the function. The aside element is a part of the document in which the content there are slightly related to the main content. It is just an short content that is just the short content that may be taken from the main content. So what do we mean by this aside element? First thing to know is that we will have the article element, and the article element carries the main content. So when we talk about this aside element, it's just something that is meant to be aside and it's just supposed to carry a little about the main content. So the aside elements can also be inside the main content, main element, and can also be outside the main element. Means it can also be here, or it can also be here. But I'm gonna put it here, the aside. And by the time we talk about the article element, the article will come before the aside. So guys, I think we should clear this off. Let's just leave it that way and then make use of the aside. So now the aside is also a container. It can contain any other element as far as a container. It can contain the section element, which is also a container. It can contain the div. It can contain some other inline level elements like the paragraph, span, and many more. But make sure the reason why we make use of this aside elements because maybe we want to have a content that is meant to just be at the side and talk about the main content in a particular web page. Then make use of the aside element. And making use of the aside element does not make your output to be at the particular side, maybe right here where my mouse is. No, you need to style it. You need to make use of like CSS floats to style it, because if you don't style it, it's just going to be listed like this. But we will expect it to be aside, but it's not going to be aside because it's just the HTML semantic element, just to make it web browsers to know and search engines to know that yes, this is an aside of the content. So guys, anything can be here, so I'm just going to copy this and then Ctrl V it here, right here. So we've created our aside content, and the next one to talk about is I think the article. Yes, we're going to talk about the article element. So when we talk about the article element, it is an element that carries the main content. The article element, unlike the other element like the section element, is a standalone HTML semantic element, and it is very comprehensive and also is used for like blog post, news, or article, just as the name goes. It is reusable, distributable, and also a self-contained composition. So do you see about the article element? It is reusable and self-contained composition, and is a standalone. With the article element, when people read about what is in the article element, they can understand, unlike that of the section or maybe the aside, because the aside is just like dragging some of the content from the article element and dropping it there. So when you read it, you can just have a little insight about the main content, which is also inside the article element. So the article element is a standalone HTML semantic element, and then it can be used for like blog post. So right now I'm just going to clear this off, and then I'm going to put my article element there right now. So right here, this is where your main content is going to be. You created an header for your content, HTML markup language created by Vicsad Academy. So you're going to start like, okay, let's put in a paragraph tag and say things like, say things like HTML also known as hypertext markup language, and then begin to write all your article inside. It is blah blah blah. It is hypertext markup language. It is very popular. It's very popular in the world right now. And then you begin to write a lot of content about it. So I'm just gonna copy this and then I'm gonna paste it to be really much. So it's gonna look like a very low article. So v, and then I'm just gonna break this right here. So I'm gonna break this right here. I just want to create a lot of text to make it look as if it's an article. So I'm just gonna break that right there and then Ctrl V. You can see that here we have a lot of text because it is the article element where contains the standalone elements that people, the element, the content people want to read is going to be inside the article element. So Ctrl S, and then I'm going to come back here to refresh the page, and then wow. So this is our header. This is our header. This is our article, which is a standalone, and it is the main stuff people really. It is the main stuff that will pass information to people or to users who comes to your website. And also should be the aside. So when we style it, which you're gonna be doing in the next tutorial by God's grace if possible, I'm gonna bring it here using CSS floats, and then it's just gonna make sense that yes, this is the aside element in work performing its function. So this is the aside element right here. We have the article, and remember that the article is a standalone HTML semantic element. So let's talk about the section element. The section element is used to create a section in HTML. So the section element is used to create a section in an HTML document, and also the section is a container just like the division element. And they are used to create section, but the difference is that the section element must contain a heading or more, and the division element, known as the div element or div tag, is just a wrapper that contains a lot of elements in it, and then is being used to style them. So guys, make sure your section have an heading, and also the section must be used appropriately. It can be used in other HTML semantic element, but not the address element. And guys, I think right now let's just make use of our section element inside the article element. I'm gonna give it a heading. So let's say right now we're writing the content, and this is our article. Then we've written about HTML, we've given it an heading. We can even take off this heading right here, Ctrl X, and then come back here to put it here that this is the heading of the article I'm writing. I'm giving it the hypertext markup language and everything, and then we come back here to want to talk about the types of HTML. So I'm just going to create a section inside the article. So right now that's the section. So I'm gonna give it a class attribute, but we're not gonna start it at all. So just give it a class attribute and the value of section 02. So I'm just gonna copy that. I'm just gonna copy this. Okay. Ctrl C, and I can just come back here and Ctrl V. So meaning we have two sections. We have the first section that talk about our about the HTML. The hypertext markup language is very popular in the world right now. It's used for creating the web page and blah blah blah. So the second section is going to be talking about the types of the HTML, versions of HTML. So guys, I'm just going to clear this off, like shift it back a little bit and then I'm just going to open it up here with enter, and yeah, I'm just going to create another heading because our section must have an heading. So for our section to have a heading, we have to come back here and give it something known as info. So just create an heading. Let's give it an heading of h2. So I'm gonna write little information about HTML, or introduction to HTML. Yeah, that's that, but everything is still inside the article, and the article is inside the main. So right here I'm just going to copy this and then I'm just going to come back here to give it Ctrl V. Yeah, so guys, index, so I think we have to shift this a little bit. Yeah. So here right now I'm just gonna put versions of HTML. Versions of HTML. So can begin to write about the versions of HTML. So right, we have 5 versions of HTML. HTML 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I just did something very simple like that. So because one content to be much is just an article, it's a content, is a blog post, so it has to be much. So I'm just gonna copy that and then replace like I did in the other time. So Ctrl C, come back here, V, wow, 5. So Ctrl X S. So we're gonna come back here and refresh the page. So we have versions of HTML, we have type version of HTML, so this is a section from here to here. Here right here is a section, this is a section. So we have the introduction to HTML section, the version of HTML section, and we have the main header, which comprises of what we want to talk about today. We just want to talk about the HTML, that's the hypertext markup language. But the first section we talk about the introduction, the following one we talk about the versions. So that is how to make use of the section. So we can just continue to go like that and see tags of HTML, or tags under the HTML language. Moving on to the next one, is going to be the footer. This footer of a thing is just perform the same work as the header. Yeah, like the name goes, footer, it is used to define a footer element for an HTML document. It contains copyright, contact and authorship information. It also contains social media handles link. Make sure that your footer tag use the address element. And why should you use the address element? You should use the address element so as to identify contact informations like the contact, the authors contact, and the website information. So your footer is used to collect the authors information, contact, and many other things. And you should make use of the address element because the address element is used to collect contact information. So meaning automatically, if you want to do it, we have to just make use of the address element. But because we need to put the address element under a particular section, and the section that it will be easy for the search engine and the web browser to understand, so we have to make use of the footer section about that. So we can come out of the article and but to step inside our main, or we can come out from the main and be here. So if we're writing a blog post and just want to have information about the author, person that wrote the blog post, we're going to put our footer here and the address tag of the thing. But we can also come back here to give it address information. That's for the whole website. So guys, let's just try that of the author. So there's the footer. So make use of the address. So the address element contains the contact information, and we just want to write about the author's information right now. So we're gonna write the author name, the author's contact address, and everything. So just write our author. Remember, it's created by Vicsad Academy top. So author should be Vicsad Academy. So contact phone number 07008 0700800090615. Yeah. So the next one should be, I think, phone number, author, email of the author. That is Vicsad Academy @gmail. Vicsad Academy @gmail. So just trying to find my hat on the keyboard. So gmail.com, and then let's just leave it that way. That's the address of the author. So we're going to have address about the whole website. We're going to have social media and stuff like that. So I'm just going to copy this, Ctrl V, and then we're just going to leave our social media just like Facebook. We're going to put Vicsad Academy because also the name of the website is Vicsad Academy and the author is Vicsad Academy. So we're going to make use of our break tag right now. So I'm just going to copy this. So let me pause the video. So guys, I'm just gonna Ctrl S and then refresh the page. Yeah, so guys, the name of the author is this. So let's just give it another break tag. So I've added one more break tag and it has worked out here because I refreshed the page. So guys, this is the footer and this is works it performs, but it's just a container and it contains information about contact stuffs of a thing of the web page, and it is advisable for you to put the tag at the down part of the web page. So that's why I put my footer tag here, then meaning I could have copied and cut it off and then add it to somewhere like this place, but because it is footer, the name footer, so the foot, so have to be down right there. So going to the next one, which should also be the last one, is the navigation element. Navigation element, known as the nav element, is one of the HTML5 semantic elements. The tag is used to create a container for links and navigation bar. So you can see links and navigation bar. So when you want to create navigation bar that will take people to home page, contact us, about us, privacy and policy stuffs, you need a particular section of the web page that will have those links and that will have the navigation bar. So you need to make use of the nav bar, but remember that it is not the nav bar that really performs the function. The nav bar is just a container or a section that will enclose or that will occupy that will be occupied by those elements. So I'm just going to get a nav bar. I'm going to use the anchor tag inside to put like a link. So our nav bar should be it's a semantic, but does not mean it should be inside the main. So it's just going to be inside the body, but I'm not going to put inside the main. So I'm just going to come here. So make use of the nav. So guys, I'm going to make use of the href. which is the HTML reference, and then wow, home. So I'm just gonna put my hash here. Okay, wait guys, a little bit confused about my keyboard right now, sorry. I just had to pause the video to make things done right through, done in the right way. So Ctrl C, come back here, Ctrl V, come back here, Ctrl V, come back here, Ctrl V. I'm gonna put the bar touch right here. I'm gonna put contact touch right here. I'm gonna put privacy and policy right here. So Ctrl S, and then I'm gonna refresh the page. It's gonna look like a normal link, but remember, we are not after the normal link in this tutorial. We're about regrouping them in the right to section and giving them the right to semantic elements. So refresh the page, but then we have it. So right here, this is it. So our search engine and our web browser will be able to understand that this is a navigation. Our web browser especially will be able to understand that this is a navigation element. It's enclosed in the navigation element. So guys, this is the last part of our tutorial, and I hope you understand. And I've said earlier, if you don't understand, please put your question in the comment section below, in the comment section, and in the description section I'm gonna put the link to HTML class and ID for you to watch the video about the HTML and ID if you do understand. So guys, love you all, one love. Watch out for our next tutorial by you subscribing, clicking on the notification bell, and also follow us on our social media platform by joining our Facebook group, liking our Facebook page, following us on Instagram, join our Telegram channel, follow us on VSKIT and LinkedIn. So for our VSKIT ID is Vicsad_academy. So love you all. Please watch out for the next tutorial because it's a very nice one. We're gonna be creating a project. Bye.